Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Peter here. Today's video is a full review of Pergola by Exaltatum. This was sent to me for review. The perfumer very kindly sent me 3 little miniature bottles. I gave the samples away in my first impressions video. The winner, hopefully you'll get them soon. But this is a full review of Pergola. This one is very green, and I'm gonna spray it again just to remind myself of the top notes. What I immediately smell is this lush, dark, waxy green leaf and a hint of a spice, slightly fresh spice. There is ginger in here, and it does kind of have a slight aromatic opening, a little bit spiced, but the full main accord coming at you is definitely the sense of green, and that it's dark, and you can imagine the leaves are thick and waxy, and does a really good job of giving the impression of ivy. That's definitely how it smells to me. I just imagine cascading ivy down the walls. Is like photorealistic ivy when I smell it and close my eyes, mixed with this kind of freshness that's a little bit aromatic from, I'm presuming, maybe the ginger. I don't smell too much ginger like directly per se, but like just a hint of a fresh aromatic kind of quality mixed with this big green accord. There is also a blend of florals in here. I will read the notes quickly from the little card here for you. The top notes: bergamot, petitgrain and green notes, grass and ginger. Heart notes of narcissus, tuberose and jasmine, violet leaf, lily of the valley, English ivy, ylang ylang, galbanum, hyacinth, resida. Base notes of hay, clary sage, patchouli, vetiver, styrax, beeswax and tree moss. After the initial top notes of the green, you start to get a sense of the florals, and it's a really nice balance. It just adds this almost creamy floral tonality, like you could almost eat the petals. You get the sense of this kind of mix of petal floral tonality is the best way I can describe it. Really good. I feel like the balance is very good. There's definite harmony and balance between the notes. You can tell that this has been thought about, which I always appreciate with perfumes, is when you can smell it and you know that there's time being put into have the balance and the harmony there. This has definitely got thought put into it, with, you know, how strong the green accord should be in comparison to the florals and everything else working together. I think it's very well put together. The florals in the opening are like nuances underneath this blanket of ivy, in my opinion. You get ivy and this dark green as the main show, underlining with these almost suede leather-like florals. That's how the florals come across. They're kind of suede in texture. As it dries down after a couple of hours, it gets more mellow. The green tonality tones down a little bit. You get a little bit more of the florals coming through. Not so much specifically, just a sense of white floral, a little bit of hay. There is that kind of dry, sweet quality that hay has. A little bit of that, just a nuance. And then there's also, I would say, maybe just a pinch of galbanum. You get kind of a slight earthiness, a slight dustiness, a slight kind of dusty green quality, slightly earthy, coming a little slightly more woody as well. I think you definitely get a sense of the tree moss accord as well in the base, kind of this very velvety, soft, smooth green quality as it dries down into the base. There's no huge swings and turns and changes, but there is definite sections to the fragrance. In the opening you have that dark green aromatic quality that's a little bit spiced with fresh, intense ivy. Then you go into the mid, which is a little bit more of the florals coming through, a little bit more of the white florals, a little bit less of the ivy, a little bit of these little nuances of different things like the hay and maybe tiny bits of petitgrain and tiny bits of tuberose, and kind of this kind of just swimming different kind of notes together, and then the dry down is kind of smoother, and then you get this kind of mossy, woody, smooth, almost dusty kind of quality on my skin. So there are stages, but they're not like dramatic changes. It's very well blended. It smells interesting. In my opinion, it's definitely unisex. I'm not naturally hugely attracted to green fragrances in general, but this one I think is quite good. It's, to be honest, probably not one I would have bought myself with my own money. I wouldn't have bought a bottle myself, just because, like I say, I'm not all that pulled in by green fragrances in general. Nothing against this fragrance. I think it's very well blended and it smells really good, but I don't naturally feel like I want to smell of green, if that makes sense. So it's not one I would have purchased myself, but I would easily happily recommend it to anyone that really likes green fragrances. Specifically, if you find the note of ivy attractive, then this is definitely one you want to get a sample of. Ivy is a note that's not used hugely in perfumery. I can think of only a couple of examples of ivy notes in fragrances that I've smelled. I would say you could pull that off year round, with the exception of high heat in summer, but certainly spring, autumn would be the ideal seasons. It would still work in the winter. I just wouldn't wear it particularly in the summer. Like I say, completely unisex. In terms of performance, it performed quite nicely on my skin. The projection was quite nice and floaty kind of around you, especially outside in the air, for a couple of hours before it was sitting a bit closer to the skin. With around, I would say, 6 hours, 6 to 7 on my skin, but lasting way longer on my clothing. On my collar of my t-shirt, it was lasting like days on the t-shirt. So the performance is very good, and that's as good as I can describe it for you. Very green, and it's very well composed. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again with the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye.